MLBB, ¿era así? Era así. Aquí está. Vale, está en directo, el tío. Trae Voy a mirar a ver qué es lo que está buscando, a ver qué está haciendo Chicken, y pone Tryhard Hawk grindeando con Zane y Hun. Grande YouTube, grande. A saber qué dice.
This title is not clickbait. It's not a joke. It is 100% real. I am devastated to share that as a player who has traveled to spend a whole month practicing overseas to prepare for EWC, we have been forced to withdraw due to unfair restrictions and basically bullying from Moonton. As of right now, Moonton sent us an official notice that we have been banned from participating,
está hablando de acoso,
in the Esports World Cup.
That
we have been banned from participating in the Esports World Cup. The reason for doing so is due to the HOK campaign that Hoon and Zane partook in as of today, June 27th, which is
la maratón de 48 horas que tuvo. ¿Se escucha bien, no, gente?
And, you know, 3 weeks away from the actual start date at MSC.
Quita el contador que no se le... vale, voy, darme un segundito.
I do not blame Hooners.
Oye, pues aprender inglés, tío. En plan, aprender inglés. ¿Qué queréis que os diga? Aprender inglés, tío. Aprendes fucking inglés. O sea, ¿qué culpa tengo yo? Venga, voy a quitar absolutamente todo. ¿Sabéis? Aprender inglés. Aprender inglés, cabrones. Encima. En fin, chat, en fin. Vamos a ponerlo aquí. Venga, va. Ya está. Venga, seguimos.
Campaign was planned a while back, and when they planned the campaign, they made sure in the MSC rulebook that it would be allowed. And after clear revision, initially,
está en revisión,
that would seem to
se escucha bien, voy a subirlo un poquito más porque habla muy bajito ese tío.
In MSC while they do the campaign. Because the MSC rulebook only applies from July 10th to August 2nd. And the HOK campaign period was June 27th to June 28th. And I will show you the rulebook where it explicitly states this. It's actually in the first paragraph of the rulebook. You'll see here. These official rules of the Mobile Legends Bang Bang Mid-Season Cup 2025 MSC apply to each of the teams who qualified to play in the MSC from July 10th to August 2nd, 2025. So the official rules apply to each of the teams who qualified to play. Fast forward to a few days ago, because this campaign was planned a while back. Now we're going to go to a few days ago. And the HOK campaign was announced publicly. And Moonton immediately sent an official notice to us that if Hoon or Zane did partake in the campaign, that they will be banned from participating in EWC,
que les avisaron también y
which also results in the S8UL team being banned from being able to compete in EWC.
Que se le avisó porque
we were pissed, but most especially Saul was pissed. S8UL. You might think now that Hoon and Zane should just back out, but they signed a contract for the campaign, and although I cannot disclose, breaking the contract entails damages that they simply cannot bear.
Got him.
Immediately, Dave and his company spent thousands of dollars on esport lawyers to help with the situation.
Es que realmente no están
the first question asked to Moonton was, what rule did we break that would disallow us from participating in EWC? Citing the rulebook was the only mention, if any day at all, is what I've already told you. The first paragraph you see right there regarding the dates, which theoretically on the rules should apply, stating the event time. Now one would really think that this means when the rules are enforced. Even the lawyers thought this. But when Moonton answered this question, I'll show you the official notice that they replied with.
A ver.
The question being again, what rule did we specifically break that would disallow us from participating? And this was the official response. Hi. Apologize for the delayed response. We have treated this matter and your reply with the utmost gravity. Following through internal deliberations, our final determination is to uphold the original decision. SAUL should cease this collaborative campaign immediately. The phrase, now this is like probably the craziest part by far, is the phrase from July 10th to August 2nd, 2025 is a temporal modifier that
Modificador temporal.
Dios, hijos de puta. This means that the dates tell us which teams the rules apply to. Teams qualified for the tournament, and that takes place between July 10th and August 2nd, not when the rules are in force. So the time frame restricts the event, not the applicability of the rules.
Hijos de puta.
This line is just already out, like right away. I read this and I was like, this is not real. It, like, you would see these official rules of the cup apply to the teams that have been qualified to play. The rules apply to the teams. And they give a time frame, but then they're like, oh, so the time frame. This time frame given is just the event, by the way. The rules can be applied whenever they want. Apparently, whenever they pull out their ass, whatever reason they pull out their ass is when the rules come out. So already, really strange. This is basically pointless. You don't even need to show a date. Just remove the date entirely and just say, hey, you have to abide by all rules at all times. Moving on, we retain the final interpretation of these rules pursuant to official rulebook. The MSC committee is authorized to restrict any activities that may adversely impact the interests of MSC 2025 or Moonton. It is incontrovertible that participation in promotional activities for MLBB competitors by MSC teams during the immediate lead up to the tournament will inflict material damage upon MSC 2025. And Moonton's interests, as consistently emphasized, our stance on promotional activities involving competing products has always been stringent. This is hardly a familiar issue to the teams. Now, they're not wrong. You don't promote competing things during an event. That's not allowed. But they're doing this a month prior from when we are actually participating and 3 weeks prior before the actual event starts. It's not even in the qualified dates in the rulebook. So they're twisting so much of the words here.
Sí,
I mean, like the rules they
las
have,
están
like
distorsionando
twisting
a su gusto. O sea,
is about
fijaos la maldad que tienen, que pueden llegar a tener las grandes empresas,
complete bullshit to my mind.
Que cuando les afecta mucho,
biggest
pues,
gaslight ever.
que prácticamente, vamos, es que se las está pelando, o sea, lo que diga básicamente se las está pelando. En plan,
and then they cite the
nosotros una mierda, venga,
for
Dios.
the MSC. Moonton and the MSC committee, at all times, may act with the necessary authority to preserve the best interests of the MSC. This power is not constrained by the lack of any specific language in this document. MSC committees may use any form of punitive actions at their disposal against any entity whose conduct is not within the confines of the best interests of the MSC. So this essentially is the rule that they're paraphrasing here. That if you're doing anything that collides in the interests of MSC, they can react for it. And then, Moonton officially retains the final interpretation of these rules and is entitled to impose the penalties not listed below. So right here is like the kicker, where no matter what rule there is, no matter how you twist it, at the end of the day, they retain the final interpretation of the rule.
Sí, ellos al final, claro,
so to argue whether you broke the rule or not, it doesn't fucking matter. Because they can just say, oh, we have the final interpretation. These dates that we give, oh, it's bullshit. They're just saying when the event is. It's not when the rules are in force. They can do whatever they want. There's like no point in the rulebook. There's no point in the rulebook. That rulebook that they send, that you're required to look at and whatnot, 0 point.
Qué puto. O sea, todo esto lo que está contando en estos 7 minutos, o sea, esto de por sí, esto es tener demasiada cara, tío. Es tener, es como es tratar de basura a tus propios jugadores. Es como si el LoL agarra y pasa lo mismo. Es que os voy a poner un ejemplo mucho más fácil. Es como si agarra Faker, ¿vale? El mismo Faker, el mismísimo Faker, ¿vale? Yo que sé, tiene una maratón de, yo que sé, de Dota, ¿vale? Se va a Dota, 48 horas. Agarra LoL y dice, bro, vete a la mierda, ¿sabes? Obviamente no. Obviamente, bueno, para empezar, Faker no lo haría. Pero LoL, sabiendo la repercusión que tienen sus jugadores, seguramente le cae, una sanción le cae, 100%. Una sanción le cae. Ahora, sabiendo todo lo que conlleva, 100%, a lo mejor pagar, seguro va a tener que pagar 100%. Pero echarlos de la competición ni de coña. Ni de coña, porque son la cara. Entonces, tú sabes que Zane mueve muchísima gente, sabes que Chique mueve mucha gente, sabes que Hun mueve mucha gente, Kairi también mueve mucha gente. Coño, bro, obviamente, esto es... Y encima, sabiendo que han jugado otro juego y que les está dando la oportunidad de, bro, tú no puedes, vente pa' aquí. No, o sea, que mínimo de, vale, vas a tener una sanción, pero sigue jugando mi juego. O sea, es en plan, me da igual, vete a tomar por culo. No sé, o sea, es tratar de basura, tío. Es tratar de basura. Y encima, después de lo de los diamantes y todo, que no sé, es que es tener demasiada cara dura. Y sinceramente espero de verdad que les vaya muy bien en Honor of Kings, porque obviamente son jugadores que lo merecen. Yo amo Bazain, la verdad que...
Because they can say whatever is against their interests and whatever their interpretation is. And then in conclusion, if they proceed with this, I'm just going to summarize this. If they proceed with the activity, they will face disqualification. Again, they can't not do it anymore. They already signed a contract, and the ramifications, if they don't do it, are way too big that they have to do it. Moving on, there was a big back and forth discussion questioning the legality of this response. As I mentioned earlier, David spent several thousands of dollars on lawyers to discuss this. But I won't get into it because I'm not a lawyer. But I will say, there was a short period of time where it was looking good for us. But all this legal talk, up until this point, throw it out the window. Don't think about it anymore. Get rid of it. Because it was discovered that although we had signed several EWC documents regarding our participation in EWC, we had not signed the rulebook itself. They just have not given that us a sign. It's not that we chose not to sign it yet. So now that this was brought into light, legally, Moonton did not have to reference any rules. They don't have to look at the rulebook anymore. They can just say, hey, it's up to them at that point. You can't do it. They gave us the middle finger.
La verdad.
And it basically told us to fuck off.
Básicamente.
And that we were banned. And there was jack shit we could do about it. They would not even let us have a different NA substitute player.
Que ese es otro, un
to fly
jugador
in
sustituto,
to potentially replace
vale.
and fill up slots. They have already contacted other runner-up NA teams to potentially replace us, which is absurd because it's not even been a few hours since they told us. They just thought right away.
¿En serio?
Yeah, fucking crazy, honestly.
¿Han hecho? What? Vale, esto es una rastreada. Esto es una ratoneada padre. Esto es una ratoneada padre. O sea, ¿cómo puede ser? Vale, 2 jugadores la han cagado. Ok, 2 jugadores la han cagado. No puede afectar a todo el equipo. Oye, pues esos jugadores a tomar por culo. Que entren 12 repuestos y ya está. O sea, básicamente han dicho, bueno, es que no pueden entrar de reemplazo, pues vamos a llamar a otro equipo de reemplazo. Bro, tío, what the fuck. Hermano, o sea, bueno, en fin, yo flipo. Yo flipo, las sanciones son
Now at this
demasiado
point,
exageradas.
there were attempts to negotiate, can we have less penalty and make up for it with fines? Or if we could do, a bunch of content for them at EWC to make up for it. All was null and void, and nothing would change.
No, la WC entonces
Now going back to that good short period of time I mentioned,
bueno, la WC
Dave had a discussion with a Moonton NA representative. In this conversation, the representative was trying to convince Dave to change his mind. Again, in this period of time, it was looking good for us. I'm paraphrasing what this representative had said, in quote, "Since other MPL regions could not do this, we shouldn't be able to either." But this is so bullshit, bro. Because there are several reasons why those MPL regions cannot do this. Contractual reasons. First, number one, is exclusivity contracts. Exclusivity contracts pay a person or company to not play other games aside from their own that are contractually obligated to. And then they pay them money not to play those other games. Lots of top creators in Asia get these to make sure they don't make content that's on MLBB. Moonton did this 1 year for NA after M3, and then nothing after that. We are not nearly as big as an MPL region. We don't get support at all. And look at the last few NACTs. From losing our LAN to losing our prize pool, and at this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if they come to my house and they ban me from living. How can you even compare other regions' treatment and then tell us we should act the same? They're giving us all the negatives and expecting us to abide by those negatives, but they're not offering any positives, any incentives at all to even listen to those negatives. Much less the negative. They haven't even stated these negatives, by the way. I do not hold Zayn or Huan accountable. Our region lacks monetary supports, and they are getting sponsors to support themselves. I doubt any other person would have refused these sponsors upfront. especially if they are obeying all the rules that we have access to. And I'm sure if they knew what results would come from this, they would have changed their minds initially. You might think it's a bad idea to make this video because it would ruin the chances for us, but look at us already, man. Like, how could it get any worse for the North American region?
Vamos, que se la pela,
no tournament, no prize pool, getting banned. And at this point, I can't take getting butt by Moonton any longer. And, I have to say something. I don't know how you can help. I doubt this video will change anything. I'm just upset at my opportunity that was unfairly taken away by childish, petty people sitting in office chairs, looking down on the small guy. I feel bad for the team. I feel terrible for SAUL and the community that have supported us. And a team that has been forced to forfeit, as a team that has been forced to forfeit their spot in a major tournament. Not because of any wrongdoing or failure to comply or failure to qualify. But because of business-driven restrictions imposed by Moonton. This is a clear example of how corporate power plays and overplays fairness, override fairness, and cause real harm to individual people and players. In history, when this kind of thing happens, only the people could really change the result of it. I would really appreciate if you support us in any way, shape, or form beyond this. Like and sub, and goodbye.
Bueno, apóyame. Y ahora, el bueno está aquí con MOBA 5.500 usuarios, rankeando, ¿no? A ver. Sí, míralo.
We lost. That's so sad.
Ahí está. Rankeando y chilling,
That's so sad we lost to that.
Rankeando chill.